understand what you're saying. No.
There it is.
Let's hear it.
Well, let's hear it.
Talk to us. Uh-oh.
Beadle and Decker, taking on sports talk like no one else. Michelle Beadle,
I'm just helping. I'm helping America one by one.
Cody Decker.
I 100% believe in revenge. Revenge is a great thing.
Back to the sports.
Back and ready for more.
Every time I tune them out, they pull me back in.
It's Beadle and Decker. Here's Michelle and Cody.
Hello, everybody. It is another beautiful day here in sunny Southern California. I'm Cody Decker. Welcome to Beadle and Decker. No Michelle today because it is a Tuesday, and when we get around to a Tuesday, we got to bring in our very, very best pinch hitter, and it's a Tyrone Johnson Tuesday. What is up, Tyrone? How you doing, man? Welcome back to the show. Everyone's favorite guy.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. You know, a Tyrone Tuesday. Why not? Why don't we call it that today? We're going to have a really good time today. I'm excited because here on the East Coast, it's raining, but I don't care because there's not going to be a 2 or a 3 or even a 4 for the weather. We're going to be in the 50s and up for the next few days. What's better than that?
What's better than that is Southern California is currently 75 degrees. It is beautiful, and there is no rain taking place whatsoever. However, dude, this pissed me off last night. So I was really fired up. You know, we got ourselves a lunar eclipse. I'm all jazzed up, and I look up the times when it's going to be really hitting. 3 a.m. out here for your boy. Okay, that means it's going to be kind of out there towards the sunset area, but I'm excited to see it. I set my alarm for 3:15 in the morning. I get to bed last night at like 9, get my ass up. I go outside, and what happens? Overcast. I can't see a damn thing. I'm still pissed off about it because I woke my ass up, and guess who didn't get back to sleep for the rest of the night? Thanks a lot.
Now, I happen to be on my way to the train station to go up to the city this morning during that time at 6-something. Here was the problem for me. It got a little too light. Because so when it happens the same time everywhere. But for you, it's dark but overcast. For me, it's clear, but it was clear then, but too light to really see it. So maybe maybe Central Time Zone got it just so.
Great. I'm glad you people in the flyover states got something to enjoy, and we got screwed over in the important places.
Before you move on real fast, anybody out there who may like me on the West Coast, I'm willing to move. Because the weather's perfect. I'll just put that in the atmosphere. I'm willing to move. So, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, too, Tyrone, L.A. would look real damn good on you is all I'm saying. Would look real good on you. We got ourselves plenty to talk about today, sports-wise and non-sports-wise. But let's just go ahead and start with something real interesting as far as I'm concerned. Because everyone keeps telling me that, baseball over the years is a dying sport. No, it ain't. And here's why it ain't. The Athletic ran a poll. And normally when the Athletic run polls, it usually is a couple hundred people, 600, 700. Maybe they'll even crack 1,000. No. Nearly 17,000 people took place and conducted themselves in this poll. And they went through a lot of different questions, one of which was, how hopeful are you about the future of Major League Baseball and what the future of baseball currently is? And the number was staggeringly high. How high was it? It was in the 60s. 60% of baseball fans that took this poll are really excited and hopeful of the future of Major League Baseball, which is a stark contrast to just 3 years ago, the last time they really started doing this poll in 2022. It was at 20%. That's triple in 3 years. So Major League Baseball in that time has not only done a bunch of rule changes, giving us the universal DH, the pitch clock, all the other rules that have been implemented, but also in that time, which is really interesting to me because everyone keeps telling me that the Dodgers are ruining baseball. I don't know, dude, because that Dodger dynasty kind of started right around 2022. It seems like baseball fans seem to really like having themselves a villain. And I'm not going to lie to you. I think the Dodgers are great for baseball. You know what I think the problem in baseball is? It ain't the top 1%. It ain't like the rest of America. Baseball's biggest problem is the bottom 10%. And I'm talking to you, Oakland A's or Sacramento A's or wherever the hell you think you're from. I'm looking at you, Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm looking at you, Miami Marlins. The Dodgers, dare I say, might be the best damn thing for baseball that's happened in years.
I think you're absolutely right. And it's based on baseball history. And I'm always a person who I love to give strong opinions. I love to argue when there's an argument to be made. But if we look at the history of baseball, we have to understand that what we're getting now is what we've always gotten. When you talk about the Yankees, for example, right? Or not forget, for example, we talk about the Yankees. The history of the Yankees and all those championships, right? It was David versus Goliath almost all the time. And yes, you had the big red machine. And yes, you had the A's back in the day with Reggie Jackson win 3 in a row. The whole sport, and a lot of sports, but the whole sport is built on the villain, having a villain. Now, just because the villain is no longer on the East Coast and the villain's now on the West Coast doesn't change the fundamental thing. And I know people can say, you can quibble and disagree with myself, you can disagree with Cody, but you cannot disagree with throughout history. Go ask your grandfather, go ask your father, go ask yourself. A lot of what you did watching the sport was all about the haves and the have-nots in a way, but not necessarily with payroll. It was always about this team wins all the time and these other teams don't. Mets fans have been lamenting not winning enough for 100 years. Yeah, they, since their inception. Yeah, they get there, they win in 86, but since then, they've been close, but they don't win. That's part of the deal. The Red Sox whole thing was they can't get past the Yankees. This is the history of the sport. And it's to me, it's as big as everything else, the numbers in baseball and everything else. Having a team that you can root for, which is usually your local team, and having the team you root against is the basis of the sport, in my opinion.
I completely agree. And it's wild that it's like, just look at the other sports. Like we watched a dynasty happen in New England. Did the NFL somehow just fall off the map, or did the NFL start making more money than it ever has? In the last 8 years, we're in the midst of another dynasty in Kansas City. I guess everyone stopped watching football during those years too. I don't know we just watched the worst Super Bowl humanly possible this last year. And with the big problem, apparently, and by the way, I was really excited to have no villain going into the playoffs, but no villain ended up getting real boring when we got to that final because there was no villain and no one to root for either.
Exactly. Like the year before, you had the Eagles, who had just lost to the Chiefs a couple years before, go against a Chiefs team that was trying to do something that had never been done in the NFL, which was get a three-peat. And instead, what they got was an ass kicking. But the point is, you tuned in to see, even if you hate the Eagles, there were people who were like, I want to see the history of the three-peat. There were some people, but there were more people that were hoping they would get that ass whooping because the Chiefs had beat their team along the way of that dynasty. And to me, that's what it's about. And to try to take that away through an artificial means or any other way doesn't make sense. I know people say they want parity, and you do want parity in that you want a situation where you don't want a team before the season starts to already have no chance. But to your point, it's not Major League Baseball that causes that. It's the Marlins owners that cause that. Derek Jeter had the temerity to ask them to spend money, and that's why he's no longer part of that ownership group, because the other owners were not going to spend money. Like, It's very simple how this goes down. And I think that when it comes down to it, you need, and right there in the comments, absolutely right, you need more teams being incentivized to be competitive. And the only way to do that is by spending more money. I just love how we want to pretend like spending less money is the solution. That's not the solution in any other business either.
Yeah, it's wild to me that we're still having this conversation. We are looking to go into a work stoppage. And I'm getting driven insane that the 1994 narratives are coming out all of a sudden. And it's wild to me. I just will never, you and I have discussed this ad nauseum. I know that. But like, I will never understand, ever understand any fan that wants to gang up specifically on baseball players or athletes because they're millionaires to help benefit the billionaires that don't want to spend the money. It is something that is so ass backwards and insane to me that I wish all of those fans would just slap themselves in the face over and over again until their IQ raises. And I don't think that can happen.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, we have to acknowledge certain facts. And this is the tough part about certain arguments. There's going to be a certain amount of revenue that comes in. That is not an opinion. That is a fact. What this comes down to as a fan, who would you prefer get said revenue? The players that you watch play, or the owners who you don't give a damn about. And when it comes down to it, you know, deep down, while obviously you think your ticket prices are too high, and maybe they are. I'm not suggesting they're not. And parking and concessions are too high. I'm not saying any of that isn't true. But at the end of the day, what drives that are the owners drive that. The owners drive that because they want to increase their profitability. And if you can accept that, then if you're going to bring in a certain amount of money, don't you want them to invest that money into the team and not into their own pockets?
And here's the other thing. This is what really drives me nuts. And I appreciate every fan that tries to make the argument because this is a fair argument. Baseball, Major League Baseball games, we're all being priced out. It's too expensive. It's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Going to a baseball game, bring your family to a baseball game is an expensive adventure at this time, these days. I totally agree. But make no mistake, it's not because the players are getting paid and why it's expensive. And if the players get paid less, guess what's also going to happen? Games ain't getting cheaper. They just are not. They're going to remain getting more and more and more expensive, regardless what the players make. So those of you making that argument, slap yourself. I'll give you a minute.
It's quaint and cute that and I love everybody. I love the people. We appreciate people watching. We appreciate people interacting with us. But when was the last time prices really went down in any of the other sports? Your football tickets aren't getting cheaper. Your NBA tickets aren't getting cheaper. Your hockey tickets,
TV packages,
damn sure, they're all going up. It is what it is. The money's coming in. Deep down, you know, as a fan, it's better for you if they invest that into players so that you get your parade. Because at the end of the day, you know that while you don't play for the team, if your team ultimately wins, that's something that you do with your fellow brethren. And that's what makes sports special, okay? This notion, also, you could be a super fan and never go to games. I'm not suggesting you stop going to games, but you could be a super fan and never go to games because it's beyond just the experience at the place. We all know you go to any sports bar. I was joking about the LA thing. I mean, I really would move, but I was joking about that happening tomorrow, right? I go out there, right? If I go in there and the Eagles are playing and there's another Eagles fan there, instantly we're friends because that's what the sports do. And the owners are basically trying to say that no. We can't make the team competitive because that would cost us too much money. And that's the part that I just don't think I understand at all.
Tyrone, get your ass out here. We'll get you to Santa Monica. Ye Old King's Head is currently the Philadelphia bar. I will introduce you to everyone I humanly can, but then you're just going to end up at the Giants bar, or it's over at right across from Sonny McLean's. O'Brien's is going to be your jam because that's my jam. This poll, by the way, also gave a couple other revealing things, one of which is how much more enjoyment that fans are currently experiencing as baseball fans. As you could see, that is skewing towards the positive. You know, people are finding it less enjoyable. 9%, those are just old people who hate new things. The 15% that are not are finding it, quote unquote, slightly less enjoyable. Well, we don't need to worry about them because 31% are definitely either standing pat or getting better. And then you got 25% are absolutely loving this game more. And then you got the people who are just ecstatic at nearly 20%. This is skewing very, very upward for Major League Baseball at a very crucial time for Major League Baseball. But there is one thing that's revealing that hasn't really been solved for Major League Baseball. Get your shit together, Major League Baseball. This still needs to be fixed. I know you got yourself a new quote-unquote TV deal, if you want to call it that, but I'm in Los Angeles, and I will be blacked out of a lot of Dodger games. I just lived in New York for the last 3-4 years, and I was blacked out of almost every single Yankee and Met game. The fact that Major League Baseball is still difficult to watch, all things considered, is a problem.
It absolutely is. And the only reason I don't have that problem in the city of Philadelphia is because Comcast happens to literally be based there. So they have the pulse of the people because they happen to be in their base city. It's happening to other Comcast subscribers, Xfinity, et cetera, across the country. I'm only lucky that they're there, so they hear you. They basically have the riot directly at their front steps. Therefore, they can't ignore it, and they make it to where you have to have the games. This happens too much, and I think with the regional networks going down, we see some of the issues with the FanDuel network, which is separate from the gambling and separate from even some of the shows. The regional FanDuel networks, just to be clear, not talking bad about anybody, but they've had the bankruptcy issues and they've had trouble. What it comes down to is this: with this new CBA, that they work out with the players. They likely need to reinvent and maybe be innovative about this. And then the fans are going to have to meet them halfway. And what I mean by that is I know there's a large percentage of fans that don't like streaming, but I think you would all like streaming better than not getting the game at all. And I think what they're going to have to do is be creative. If they have to involve an Apple, a la MLS, the way they did, where basically all the MLS games, they're on Apple. It used to be an additional fee. They've done so well with it. If you have Apple TV Plus, boom, you automatically get to MLS. They're going to have to bring in other partners, creative partners, to try to get it to where every fan in each market can get access to every game. And I think that the players, that should be something in addition to no cap they should be fighting for, because it behooves all of them for the local fans to see them. So I think this is something where they need to be innovative. They need to think outside the box. It's not, because there's 162 games, it's not going to be like football. So you have to think of it differently. And I'm hoping those in charge think about that to free the many fans. I know the Anaheim Angels fans have had that kind of trouble. Yeah, so many fans this has happened. There's been issues in Chicago for the White Sox. There's been issues in a lot of cities. Again, I happen to be a fan of a team where I don't have that issue. You already mentioned the Yankees and the Mets. There needs to be, I know there's also issues in Miami, and there's already talk of possible issues when they eventually expand into Portland and Nashville. So this is something they need to get ahead of now at the end of this season. So this is the last season it's like this.
Yeah, well, and that's, keep in mind, I also am thinking a little darker as well with the ownership group, because they signed this short-term TV deal for 3 years just in time for, a year and a half after the next CBA. Don't think for a second I didn't find that to be very much on purpose. That being said, we'll see how this goes over the next couple of years, but more good baseball news. WBC starts tomorrow, dude, and I got to admit, I'm fired up. Without thinking anything, just off the top of your head, who's winning the WBC?
Off the top of my head, without even thinking about it, I always want to pick the Dominican Republic.
Dude.
Because I just jumped right to the Dominican Republic, in large part because a lot of their pitchers have found a way to pitch, and they really care about it. I'm all about Team USA. Hopefully they can continue everything that happened with the hockey and the Olympics and continue it. But we're looking at the pitching and hearing Aaron Judge speak. I don't know about Team USA.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. First, let's just talk about Dominican, because I got to say, this Dominican always puts together a team, and their pitching is damn good. It's damn good. Sandy Alcantara, Brian Bayo, Carlos Estevez, Luis Severino, just to name several, for Christopher Sanchez, Gregorio Soto. Like, this is a really good pitching staff. But let's forget about the pitching staff. Can we just look at the lineup? Austin Wells is catching for this team. Junior Camanero's on this team. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Manny Machado, Ketel Marte, Carlos Santana, Ahmed Rosario, Jeremy Pena, and Perdomo. This is their infielders. I haven't even gotten to their outfielders. That's an all-star team and then some. Outfielders: O'Neal Cruz, Junior Leg, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr. This team is stupid.
It's incredible. And if you ever watch the interactions, I'm not saying everybody needs to watch every single moment. You just look at the home run derby. That Dominican contingent sticks together so well. They seem like they're having more fun, in large part because these are all minorities that moved to America. They're from the Dominican Republic by and large, legitimately. It's not like some of these other teams where they're grabbing people from left, right, in different places. So there's that camaraderie to go with the talent, and they're having fun. And if you're having fun, you know you're going to do something better than if you're not having fun. So for me, they're always the favorites. I do think, though, if Judge, Schwarber, Harper, Goldsmith, etc. hit, Team USA can absolutely mash this one out, but I don't know if they're going to get the top pitching.
Let's just look at this team right here for Team USA, because on paper, their pitching is pretty damn good. You know, you got David Bednar out of the pen. You got Matthew Boyd, Clevenger, Clay Holmes. Kershaw is retiring, and it's a nice nod to give him the shot. Paul Skeens is in there. Like, who we pretending? We know Tarek Skubal is going to pitch a game. Garrett Whitlock, no slouch. Logan Webb, arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball for the last 7 years that nobody ever likes to talk about for some reason. Not a slouch team. DH, you got your hands on Kyle Schwarber. You got Roman Anthony. This is the one that really surprises me. The outfield's interesting because you got Pete Crow Armstrong, young superstar, looking forward to it. Roman Anthony, okay, young superstar also, but we don't know exactly what he is yet. Aaron Judge, obviously. Are you surprised that the Twins are letting Byron Buxton play in this? And the reason I ask that, this guy's been made out of graham crackers for years, and he breaks just if you look at him. The talent is off the charts. I cannot stress this enough. Byron Buxton, if he's healthy, it might be top 10 player in Major League Baseball. But when in the hell is this cat ever healthy?
Yeah, it is a bit strange because unlike, for example, the Olympic team in the NBA, the teams are not allowed to block a player. So even if you have a player like Joel Embiid that's had a lot of injuries, the Sixers could not do anything to stop him from playing in the Olympics. This is different. And obviously we have the insurance situation. That's why Scuba's only doing the one game. And some pitchers can't pitch at all because of the insurance. And some teams said no. So yes, I am surprised. My guess is, their argument is, he's going to be playing baseball. It's spring training time. If he's going to get hurt there, he probably would get hurt here anyway. That's what my guess is, their reason for letting him. And it is, if we're being honest, different than a pitcher. I mean, in fact, it might be better for him to see some of this live pitching at the WBC versus spring training things where a lot of times there's pitchers just working on things and not necessarily up there solely to get outs.
Well, let's take a look, because here's the deal. I do agree right over here for Ryan in Green Bay that the U.S. has the two best pitchers in baseball. You're right. Tarek's only pitching a game, though.
Yeah,
I'm assuming Skeens is only pitching a game, though.
Right. I wanted to make that clear. Yeah. So when I talked about the pitching holding up, it's okay. So you get through the first round with one of them, and you get through, the round robin even. Once you get to the real games, you are not going to have your top of the top guys on the mound versus Dominican Republic will. And some of these other countries will have their best available at that time. Just to be clear, for those, yes, they have excellent pitchers on paper, but they're not going to be pitching throughout the whole tournament.
Yeah, and those of you that are excited about the World Baseball Classic, or you're not excited, if you really want the U.S. team to really dominate, well, don't worry. I know how to get you excited. Aaron Judge is here to get your asses excited. So let's take a look what Aaron Judge and the amazing speech he just gave his team.
You're sacrificing for your country, and you're sacrificing for the brothers in the trenches with you every single day. And that's one thing I want us to do, fellas. We're down, we're beat up a little bit, man. Bleed into each other, man. We're gonna lay it all on the line. If we do that, we're bringing the gold home, man. I'm telling you.
That's about it. It's inspiring as a salty cracker. Like, that does nothing for you if you're sitting there in that room. You're sitting there with Hall of Fame guys, and that's the speech you give to two-time MVP Bryce Harper. That's what you give to the home run champ. That's what you give to these guys. Like, come on, Aaron. Why bother? Why bother? Now, let me ask you. You played at the highest of levels. You were in the majors. It's a big game. Aaron Judge comes out. He makes that speech before the game. How do you react?
I lean over to my right. I lean into Paul Goldschmidt, and I'm like, Paul, we're fucked.
I mean,
we are so fucked. We're going to get our asses stomped if this is the energy captain's bringing us. I just found out why the Yankees can't win a World Series, by the way.
Yep. And
holy shit.
Might think, oh, it's a joke. Like, it's partially a joke. But really, if that's who he really is, and he knew a camera was on, I do wonder in some of those big game sixes, some of those big game sevens, does he make sure everybody's on that mental edge? And I know a lot of people will say, if you get up for a game seven, yeah, I understand that. But you might have still had traffic on the way. You might have still gotten an argument with your wife. You might have life still happens. So you might need somebody to get your focus and get your hype. He's not the guy. He's not the guy to do it.
That was the most anti-hype fucking speech I've ever seen in my life. And listen, I'm not pretending Aaron Judge ain't a superstar, but that didn't even wake me up for game one, let alone a game seven, dude. I am and here's the thing. It's not that the American team ain't good. This is a really, really well put together team. But what are we talking about here? Do we not realize that there have been 5 WBCs and Japan has won 3 of them? And everyone seems to forget. You don't know every name on the Japanese team. I'll freely admit, as a fan of all world baseball, I don't know most of the names on the Japanese team. Guess what? I'm terrified of them because I know how good at baseball the Japanese team is. And believe you me, man, Shohei Ohtani ain't DHing for this team to not win another gold.
Exactly. And The other part about that is because a lot of the games at the border are home soil, there's a different level of camaraderie that happens when you travel. It just is what it is. So there, a lot of guys are coming over. Some of them coming to America, or they'll be in Miami, they'll be in Houston for the first time. Like Ohtani, it's old, but some of these guys are coming to America for the first time, and some of them are wanting to add another zero to that contract because they're going to post at some point, and then this will be direct pressure from some of those fans. Don't tell me, if you're a fan of baseball, and obviously you are if you're watching this show, that if one of those guys, Japanese guys, hits 3, 4, 5 homers in the tournament, you're not going to be coping. When they post, my team's got to get him. I saw him in the World Baseball Classic. That is going to put pressure on teams. It is. We're human. You can say it was a small sample size and stuff, but when that guy posts, if you actually are familiar with him, you're going to put more pressure on you, and that's going to happen in more cities, and that's going to just up that money, and that's another reason why those guys will be so invested, because they're there in large part. Other guys have gotten their money. The Japanese team are still waiting, some of those guys, to get their money.
And keep in mind, I currently have the U.S. team finishing third in this tournament. I honestly think it's going to be Japan and Dominican. I think those are the two strongest teams. Venezuela always has a hell of a team as well. PR, we'll see, because they got a few more young cats in there due to the whole insurance thing. In fact, a kid that I trained for a year named Daryl Hernaiz, who plays for the Sacramento A's, he's actually going to be playing for the Puerto Rico, so I'll be rooting for him quite a bit. The reason why I'm putting U.S. third and not fourth is because I would have had the Netherlands third, because the Netherlands are always nasty. You got a lot of players from Aruba. You got a lot of players from Curacao. This time they are missing some guys. For instance, you got what's wrong with me? Yankee infielder always causes problems with teammates. Miami Marlins. What is wrong with me? He's an ex-teammate of mine.
I don't know. I gotta look now.
Jazz Chisholm. Thank you, Jazz.
Jazz. Yeah.
Because Jazz is going to be playing for Great Britain, and he's been named the captain of the team. And trust me, I know Jazz, and I actually like Jazz. Not everybody does. I like Jazz a lot. Jazz is unquestionably the most arrogant player I've ever played with in my life. He has such a delusional arrogance that I can't get enough of him. Others get very annoyed by him. I think it's so funny because I can't believe he actually believes all of it is real. It's great. The other reason is because it just got announced. Jurickson Profar, the DH of this team, has just tested positive for PEDs again. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. What a fucking idiot. What a fucking idiot. In today's day and age, you're getting popped for steroids or whatever banned substance. Don't put any. It's not hard to not test positive for steroids or any banned substance in professional baseball these days. And those of you who say, well, Cody, don't you defend Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and all those guys? Yes, I do. Here is a very, very strong cutoff line. 2003. If you did steroids or any PEDs before 2003, congratulations. In my mind and head, you're completely off the hook. Completely. Because it was called the steroid era, not the Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Roger Clemens did steroid era. That was what it was called. They all did it. So if you didn't do it, you're kind of dumb for not doing it and having a level playing field. That being said, if this turns into a conversation about the Hall of Fame, well, maybe don't look too closely at the Hall of Famers we've let in the Hall of Fame over the last maybe decade and a half, because you might have some questions about steroids. But in today's day and age, when they made the rule, and I want to make this abundantly clear, it became a rule in 2003. After that, now, zero tolerance. He is now being suspended an entire season because it's second PED suspension. Already just came off an 80-game suspension. So now it's 162. One more, and he's banned for life. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be it for Jurickson Profar. The guy was borderline washed up a couple years ago till he had that resurgence in San Diego. And I got a lot of questions about that resurgence now, because all of a sudden he went from not having a job to being an actual star again. And now he's tested positive for steroids 2 years in a row.
You know, it's funny. This is actually, it's him and the Braves. It also shows you how the Braves have kind of lost their way a little bit as a franchise, because why they would never rely on a guy like that in the past. And I'm not saying they never picked up free agents or things, but look at the Braves' history when they're good, and they're very careful about certain things. So it was a weird signing initially. Then he gets popped for the 80 games you mentioned, and now this. Also, why would this guy not be careful about what he's putting in his body? And the reason I say this, I'm not talking about his health, because again, A lot of guys that do steroids, the ones that are smart, that have done steroids, they go make sure they're getting their blood work. They have a doctor's care, et cetera, et cetera. Him, I don't know. But knowing that you lost half your salary, most human beings would make sure, if for nothing else, because it's guaranteed money, you get your money. He also, when he loses that 162, he loses that pay as well, and his rights stay with the Braves, which makes it harder if another team did want him for him to actually go anywhere. It's beyond stupid. And now you have to wonder, why were the Braves willing to not only have this guy around, but to once again rely on him? They made other moves, but he was going to be their everyday guy. How are you in a spot in a team with the Mets, who spent a lot of money, and the Phillies, who spent a lot of money and are good, and the Mets have been good as well? How would you ever put yourself in a position to rely on this guy? And how can this guy be so stupid to get caught again? And even if I give him every benefit of the doubt and say that the 80 games was an accident, he looked down, he thought it was a multivitamin, and it was one that wasn't on the list that's given out to every player, and you know all about that. Even if I give him that benefit of the doubt, my wife handed me, my son handed me I asked him to grab my pill thing, and a bad pill got in there. Let's say I give you that benefit of the doubt. Well, it's all gone when you do it again. Like, you can't do that. That dude should have been on water, like water. Like,
that's
nothing
it.
Else. Tylenol and water, and Tylenol, not the generic either. Like, the proper Tylenol and water is all he should have been taking. So it just shows you this guy's an idiot, and he was at one point the number one prospect in all of the sport.
Sure was.
And this is how it ends. He was the number one prospect in the sport. And this is how it ends for him, with him being, in addition to being negligent and not giving a damn about his team and being selfish, he was also stupid.
So my sympathy doesn't exist in this situation. But hey, listen, new subject, new segment, no Shane, no problem. Let's get them quick hitters. All right, question number one for you, Tyrone. Question number one is simply this. What is your favorite sports television show?
A sports television show. You mean like pre-post game, one of those type shows?
It could be, or it could be a drama or comedy series that might see something along those lines.
Well, I could cheat and go back when Bob Uecker was on Mr. Belvedere. Or
that is cheating, but I accept this cheat.
I thought he was great on Mr. Belvedere back in the day. But to me, it's as far as a show that really makes me laugh, I still think Inside the NBA is the gold standard. Barkley still makes me laugh, that dynamic. So off the top of my head, that's the one that I go with.
If we're going those sports shows, I completely agree. The gold standard is Inside the NBA. That is just pure chemistry. You just got to let run wild. ESPN, please get out of their way and just let them do their thing. But if we're going like drama or comedy series, I have not been quiet of my love of the show Shoresy. I think it is the most accurate portrayal of professional sports behind the scenes that you could ever possibly see, especially if you are in an industry where there is a minor league system. It is frighteningly accurate and phenomenal. I really am a big fan. Let's move on to what is just your favorite television show of all time in general.
All right, favorite versus best. My favorite show of all time is Martin. When Martin was at its best, I know whole episodes, word for word, when it was at its best. Now, it's not the greatest show because the run at the end when Gina wasn't able to film with Martin, it was a whole thing. But my favorite for me is Martin, no doubt about it. There's a lot of great TV shows that I could name, but the first one that came to mind, Martin.
You know what's funny? Of that era, it was a show because it was on Fox. I loved watching Martin, but it wasn't Martin. That was my jam of a show. You know, it was my jam of a show. It was on right before it. Dude, Living Single was the shit back then, dude. We don't talk enough about how great Living Single was.
Well, it's to the point where, and this is not a knock on Friends fans, but the creator of Friends blatantly said, we're going to take that and make the characters white. Flat out. Flat out. That's what it was. Friends,
we're going to make a white living single.
White living single. And that's literally what they did. And you see how successful it was. But that's not me saying it. Go ask the creator.
Yeah. And by the way, again, living single, a jam. My favorite show of all time, though, is a little bit more on the nerdy side. You know, I love me some Star Trek. I love me all that shit. But for me, Doctor Who, it's just such a perfect, wonderful show because every episode is completely different. You have a horror episode, you got a Western episode, you got a space adventure episode. It's just every episode is completely different. There's definitely some shit episodes in there. I want to make that abundantly clear. But you got to get through a couple shit episodes to get to maybe some of the best TV you could ever watch in human history. All right, next question. If you can join any sports franchise ownership group, which would it be?
All right. So I'm not going to pick any of my local teams. I'm going to try to save the game. I'm going to do what Jeter couldn't do. And Miami's a cool city. I'm going to join the Miami Marlins ownership group. Number one, I'm going to try to move the team, but that's a whole separate thing. But in the meantime, since I'm an owner in this scenario, we're going to spend an extra at least $50 million immediately.
I love it. I love your choice of the Marlins. By the way, Marlins who don't spend money, small market Miami, right?
Come on. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
But it has to be a small market. They don't spend money. Isn't every team that doesn't spend money in a small market? Miami, you know, that small market of Miami.
Like, it's ridiculous. I would probably try to get the team to Charlotte only because there have been some flaws in the Miami market in that they thought that the Hispanic crowd, and the problem was they were too generally Hispanic. Down there, it's mostly a Cuban market. And they instead tried to be basically Latino heritage when they probably needed to be Cuban because that's what's there. If you're in New York, it's mostly Puerto Rican. There's Dominicans there. There's Mexican there. Every city is different. I think they were too generic with really from the beginning of, well, Hispanic people like baseball, right? But which Hispanics are in which place? They're not the same in every place. While out where you are, they're mostly Mexican people there.
Yes, they are.
So it's different. So Hispanic, you try to do Puerto Rican in California, it's not going to be the same as if you try to do Puerto Rico in New York. And Miami never caught on to it's Cuban above everything else. And for that reason, just go to a different city.
I'll be way more lazy about this. I'm going to pick the Dodgers because the Dodgers made over $1 billion in revenue last year. And it seems like if you're just the smallest member of that ownership group, you're going to come away feeling pretty good about yourself year in, year out.
Yeah. Magic Johnson seems pretty pleased. Like he's not the main owner. He's got a piece. He seems very happy at those Dodgers games.
Yeah, I really want to be like Magic. Follow-up question on the opposite side. If you can take away a team from an owner, which team do you take away?
And I have to go baseball again because of the history. I would take the Pirates away from their current owners. I mean, you're talking about a all-time Willie Stargell and all these great players you've had over here. You had Van Slyke, Bonilla, and Bonds at the same time. Like, you've had great players, and you never win. I would take it away from them first and see if there's an owner out there. And if they have to go to Montreal or do something, I don't know what to do temporarily. But the bottom line is I cannot have Pirates with that history being what they are. We know Skeens is gone in like 3 years. Like, we know that already. We should not know that already.
I was going to pick Pirates earlier, and I've changed my mind recently, and here's why. It's not just what Artie Moreno said last week. It's just get Artie Moreno out of this game because I don't know what to do because everyone is yelling at me about market sizes in baseball and why they can't spend money. Well, explain the goddamn Angels to me, who are the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Enough with the market bullshit. It's either your owner wants to spend it or doesn't. And this guy, when he did spent so fucking stupid that I don't know. He gave Gary Matthews Jr. how much money? Go Google how much he gave Gary Matthews Jr.
You know what's crazy about him is, like, where were they when they had Tim Salmon and Vlad Sr.? Like, that was, to me, the era when they were actually, like, good and he was, like, making sense. That's a long time ago. Like, Vlad Sr., it's not old, but it's so long ago that he went and had a whole kid. And that kid's already played in the World Series. Like, what are we doing here? Like with that market size. And for you, I know it's not close, but like you really wouldn't have to move that much. if you took it
Not
away from
only
him.
has not only has he had a whole kid, that whole kid makes more than the entire Angels organization at this point. Yeah, it's a problem.
It's a real problem. And that's what it comes down to. And I wish fans would realize it. Like, and I know there are people saying, yeah, well, just because you spend money doesn't mean you win. Well, duh, competency should always be mandatory. That's in any job. I don't want a guy literally putting my fries in the bag that doesn't know how to do it. Like, competency is required. But if you have an asset like this, you should want to get the most out of said asset. And there was a time for a while there, for that window, that era I'm talking about, where the Angels were better than the Dodgers consistently for a little while there. That's before Joe Torre became the manager. That was really when the Dodgers started to change. But that was a real era where they were the team. I mean, they did win a World Series. They were the team in that era for a while there. There's no reason that couldn't happen again. Now, obviously, this Dodgers thing's not going to last forever. Like, nothing ever does. And they should be waiting there thinking, man, the moment Freddie Freeman, who's an older player, Mookie Betts fall off just a little bit, boom, we're here to take the market back.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. And by the way, those of you who don't remember what not a LA thing or an Orange County thing, a national thing, the Rally Monkey was there for a couple of years. Dude, that shit was real. And I would love to see the Angels back at it. But you talk about a team that needs to move. I'm starting to think that the Angels need to move to a different spot in California or something, just become the California Angels again.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Really, just the question is where. Is it San Jose?
Maybe.
But
I think the Giants own that market, though.
That's
the Giants, so it becomes a real problem. They could probably just stay in Orange County. I loved the idea a couple of years ago. They were talking about moving to Long Beach, California. There's a city like there. That would have been pretty sweet. And it's in LA County, so the LA Angels thing actually makes sense finally. But that's neither here nor there. The Angels are going to be a very, very long project until Artie Moreno sells this team. That's it for the quick hitters. So why don't we get back over to the sports of it all? Let's get over to the NFL. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but dude, the Max Crosby of all is heating up a little bit more because now there are more suitors out there for Max Crosby. I kind of scoffed at the idea last week that Max Crosby would go for 2 first-round picks. I no longer think that, because if we're getting up to 4 to 5 teams that are going to be in the hunt for Max Crosby this week, I have to believe that the Raiders are going to get their picks, because the Rams have picks to give up, and the Rams clearly never care about their picks, and they could use them. But now the Bears are coming out of the woodwork saying that they want them, and they got some things they can move. The team that makes it very interesting to me, however, though, and I know this is a cheat because America's team, but the reason why I want to bring up the Cowboys as an interesting thing is they just let Micah Parsons out the door, and they got back a couple of draft picks for that. If they take those exact draft picks and send them over to the Raiders, forget everything else. That's just funny to me, because what you just did was essentially swap Micah Parsons for Max Crosby. And that, dare I say, I'm not saying that Max is bad. Max is obviously incredible, but that just turn of events is a little stupid.
Yeah, because you have to look at age. Crosby's 29. And at the time you make that trade, he's 20, 25, almost 26. So that alone, in a sport where everybody fears the age of 30, would make absolutely no sense. Now, I want you to do me a favor, though, right now, and go to Max Crosby's Twitter page and look at the tweet he sent this morning. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm not trying to read into it, but he decided to send out a tweet. The tweet could mean nothing, or the tweet could mean something. Because now that there's so many teams, he'll have some of a say in that. I'll be unhappy there. I won't sign an extension there. I won't redo my deal for cap purposes. I won't really want to report. He sent out kind of a weird tweet, and I think it was like 8-something this morning Eastern time, that kind of threw me off because he used an emoji. A little bit. Like now, for the people out there, now he did it. He did it. And at the end, I know he has a diamond to the right. If you look at his tweet, it's a diamond. But to the left of the diamond, I think I see an eagle on there. And I'm saying that Max Crosby sent that out. I don't have an opinion on anything. Sure, I'd love to have Max Crosby. I don't know if the Eagles are in the midst. People talk about the Bears and everything. But his tweet right there, fear less, do more, eagle, and then a diamond. I don't know what it means, but it might mean something.
I will miss you, Max. I will miss you so much.
I mean, what does it mean?
You deserved so much better. I am so sorry that this has happened. It happens to all the Raiders I've ever loved. I hate this world. I hate it. But Max, you deserve better. Good luck to you. I guess with fucking Eagles.
Like, now listen, I'm looking at the tweet. I didn't talk to anybody. Like, I have tried to call people. I don't think there's anything there yet. Obviously, the league year starts next week, so it could happen as soon as next week. But you saw the tweet he sent, and I'm like, well, that might mean something. Like, you know what I mean? But in all seriousness, if it's not the Eagles, and it obviously makes sense, he wants to win now. The Eagles want to win now. He's an older player, but he's not an old player by any means. He fits right into a win-now situation. The Cowboys are in that mix, and the Bears clearly are in that mix, and the Rams clearly are in the mix. So all the teams make sense. And maybe the Eagles are fifth on the list. It was just Crosby's tweet that made it interesting right there. I think it will drive the price up, but I do think that Crosby in some way will have some say, because any team that acquires him will probably want to rework the deal for the cap number. He'll get some, and for that reason, he could say, hey, you can trade me wherever you want. But if you trade me to the Rams, for example, I'm just picking a team that's on the list, he could say, I wouldn't redo my deal, but if you sent me to the Bears, I would. And in that way, he has some control over the situation. And I have no idea what would be in Max's mind with those teams, because every single one of those teams, other than the Cowboys, because it's been so long, probably have an argument that they're ready to win right now.
Swaggy asks, how many bird options are there? Enough. There is enough. There are enough bird options. Also, he has the Condor nickname, so he's saying this might be the best Condor representation. That's fair, but
I mean, he could have put a Falcon. I don't think he wants to go to the Falcons. I don't think he wants to go to the Falcons. Like, and the Seahawks, it probably, like, you know what I mean? So, like, and they actually, Seahawks probably don't need him, given how well that defense played down the stretch. They have other things on the offensive side they need to address. So it's just an interesting thing for me with Crosby. But I just think that the Raiders are the reason he's gone. And what they did at the end of the season, I think that was a point of no return. So now it's about getting the best return.
Yeah, here we go. And speaking of the Rams, dude, we got to talk about Puka Nacua. You talk about draft picks that the Rams have. They got 2 first-round draft picks this year. Can they draft a new brain for Puka Nacua? Because I'm starting to get worried, dude. The Rams are my NFC team, dude, and I really enjoy this team. And this kid is talented off the charts. He's been on this show before. Was nothing but very nice and sweet. But he's had a rough little bit of a year off the field. He's done a lot of stupid shit to the point where, can we please get this cat a handler? And I'd also like to point this out. Listen, you're an adult. You can do whatever you want to do. You can date whoever you want to date. But why do I know everyone Puka Nacua has been dating, and I'm not kidding, for the last 3 weeks? Let's go through the list. Apparently, he is currently dating fitness influencer Sarah Safari. Okay. That was just 1 week after he started dating Charlotte Flair of the WWE, which was 3 days after going out with Sydney Sweeney, which was 5 days after going out with an influencer, 24-year-old Hannah Stocking, who is a 34-year-old influencer. Bro, listen, you can do whatever you want, but you got a real promising career ahead of you. You are in a position to do something real special and make a real serious bag. But based on this guy's trajectory, I'm starting to get worried. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. And it's not just the dating thing. In fact, the dating thing is the mildest thing of all the things. He pulled off a lot of weird shit this last year. And make no mistake, he embarrassed and showed his ass at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, my issue with is I believe he's got a good heart. And I mean this when we talk about, like, last week when I was on Friday, I think we were talking about the player versus person. But his is not malicious. I think he's kind of a dumb jock. And I think he's a nice guy. I want to make it clear, but I think he's kind of a dumb jock. Remember, he accidentally did the anti-Semitic thing on the Aiden Ross show where they were saying, oh, well, Aiden Ross is Jewish. Yeah, that's the point. One Jewish person giving someone permission to do something doesn't speak for the entire Jewish community at large. And I know he apologized, but that was a mistake where he didn't think. And then it's not about him running around with those women. You're young in Los Angeles. Do that.
Do what you gotta do.
In fact, it'd be weird if you didn't do that. But you gotta have a certain level of discretion. Maybe find a way to get Derek Jeter's contact number and learn how to be discreet about some of these things. Be smart about it. You also are still on your rookie deal. You need to get that second contract. And I believe it's going to be a handsome contract. The only thing that can derail him is the stuff off the field, because you know how talented he is, and him with the Sam Darnold tweets and all that stuff he did. That's the stuff that you're concerned about. So it's not Puka Nacua the player. It's Puka Nacua the person that can do it. And that's always my fear. You never let the person derail the player. And in his case, I just want to be frank, it comes off like he's kind of dumb. Like he does not come off to me like an intelligent guy. He comes off to me like he's kind of dumb. And don't stupid your way out of hundreds of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. That's why this cat needs a handler, dude. I agree with you. I don't think there's an ounce of maliciousness behind any of it. I just think he's dumber than shit and needs somebody to keep him from being dumber than shit.
Yeah. And it's sad in a way because, you know, you want your guys to be Larry Fitzgerald, who had the total package, was the person and the player. But this is real life. It also is the immaturity. How long are we okay with that too? And I get it. He's still in his 20s, but we know NFL 20s is like, you got to really be mature then, because you saw his teammate when he got to his 30s now plays for the Seahawks for a lot less money. God bless him, he won a Super Bowl, but like they said, you know what about you? You have a 3 in front of your birthday. Now you're mature. Yeah, now we want you gone. So you kind of have to mature up in football quicker because you're not going to get your money in your 30s.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. And I think we should definitely touch on this because, listen, I still think this is the weirdest thing that's happened in sports in the last year. The Mark Sanchez thing that took place, the stabbing. Now it's now added in an actual civil suit now, and where he's being accused of a lot of things. Now, I have not seen any toxicology report, and I don't think anybody else has, but he was in the hospital, so I have to assume a toxicology report does exist on what was going on. But he's being accused of being on, I don't know what to say, but all of the drugs, like all of the drugs, booze, clearly, cocaine, okay, fentanyl, that's a choice. Weed, well, that just counteracts the other three. Like his attorney has come out saying these are allegations in a civil suit. Don't read too far into them, and it'll all come out in court. Great, but things are not looking good for Mark Sanchez, right?
No, and here's the thing: if you want to give him every benefit of the doubt, drunk, yes, but what concerns me is the pepper spray. So he jumps on the guy, for people who don't remember. He's doing wind sprints in the middle of the road. A guy's just trying to get down the road. He's running in the middle of the street. The guy's just trying to make a delivery. He ends up jumping in the car. The guy pepper sprays him to protect himself, and he goes right through the pepper spray. So the weed didn't do that. They take the weed right out. That's what
I can't stress enough. The weed did not do that.
I can give him the benefit of the doubt on the fentanyl. He's buying cocaine at a place in Indianapolis or wherever he was, which is not his home base. I'm going to assume he's probably not an occasional cocaine. It wasn't his first time trying cocaine. I feel very comfortable saying that. It was probably laced with fentanyl. Unfortunately, that's why you don't go buy cocaine in 2026, because it's deadlier than ever. Not because of the cocaine, because of that fentanyl. And I believe that's how the fentanyl got in his system. I give him the benefit of the doubt there. But why are you drunk doing cocaine that could be laced with fentanyl, which it was, and then beating up a man and you're so coked up that you fight through the pepper spray? That's why I believe he was on cocaine. Again, this is all alleged very clearly, but even drunk, I've seen a drunk guy get pepper sprayed and get put down. I don't believe that he was just drunk. I believe the cocaine part. And I'll give him the benefit of that he didn't intensely ingest fentanyl. The fentanyl was laced in the cocaine. But he's in a lot of trouble. And it really, if he's thinking about it, his attorney should want this to be true. Because I need help. I'm an addict. That's a more likely story than I never did drugs. I don't know how this cocaine and fentanyl and weed and everything got in my system. It's better for his client for this to be true. Because the excuse is I have a drug problem. Because if he doesn't have a drug problem, Why are you assaulting an old man after he pepper sprayed you because he's trying to drive his car?
Yeah. And by the way, I've never been pepper sprayed, but I had pepper sprayed a friend of mine once. Through his request, I didn't just go rogue and pepper spray the cat. We were just drunk at a bar. Our friend had pepper spray, and he said, I've never been pepper sprayed. So cut to us outside. I'm right in front of his face with pepper spray in front of him. I'm like, are we sure you want this? And he's like, yeah, if you don't do it, I'm going to get somebody else to do it. And I did it. And he was in a lot of pain, to say the least. So much pain that I accidentally scratched my face, and, my index finger hit the button. I had pepper spray that was like on my finger, and I scratched my face. I couldn't see out of my right eye for an hour. Like, pepper spray is no joke, dude.
My brother accidentally pepper sprayed the both of us. My mom had gotten pepper spray for protection herself just in case. She goes in the grocery store, and he decides to play with it. My brother's that type. I leave stuff alone. He didn't. The windows are all up. He sprays pepper spray in the car, not directly on anybody. Next thing you know, we're both coughing. It's in our eyes. We have to open the doors and run around, and we can't tell our mom because we'll get in trouble. Yeah. So we're just, what's going on? And we were dying. We were dying. So to fight through the pepper spray, my man was on. So like you saw your friend. To fight through that and keep on fighting and then injure somebody, I'm just going to say it, he was on something.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and shiggle. Here's what I'm shiggling about today, because this actually giggled me. I read a report today about a bartender that was over there in Chicago, and a guy came in and ordered a drink. He ordered a Sprite with Tito's vodka. Great. But then they brings her the drink, and the guy goes, oh, could you throw a little grenadine in there? He's like, oh, a Dirty Shirley. And the guy said, no, I just want a Sprite with Tito's with a hint of grenadine. And the bartender stared at him. Yeah, that's called a Dirty Shirley. It's a Shirley Temple with vodka. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll get you that. The guy got so up in arms about the fact that he called it the Dirty Shirley. He refused to call it that and refused to pay his tab. The bartender just kept making fun of him all night for ordering Dirty Shirleys. But it wasn't that he was ordering Dirty Shirleys. It was the fact that he was such a little dweeb, weak little boy that he couldn't handle that he was ordering a girly drink like a Dirty Shirley. Dude, get some balls. You're ordering a Dirty Shirley. If you want an Appletini, enjoy an Appletini. You want a Michelob Ultra? Enjoy that. There's nothing wrong with liking what you're like, but your fragile masculinity is hitting you so hard that you can't order a Dirty Shirley. Is there anything softer than fragile masculinity? I truly don't think there is.
No, there is nothing worse than that. I remember one time I was hanging out with these guys, and they were fans out here, and they wanted to do a shot. I had a rule at the time where if a fan offers a shot, whatever it is, I'm doing it, because they're taking the time. And then it was a Washington Apple, which is fine. It was just
easy. Honestly, thank you. You made it an easy shot for me to take because I don't love doing shots.
Yeah, easy shot to take. But they felt a certain way. Even though they ordered it, they were self-conscious. But I was like, it's all good, man. It just wasn't what I was expecting. Yeah. Because I've had to do warm Smirnoff vodka shots. I've had to do right. That's what I'm saying. So it was just right. I just didn't expect it to be so pleasant, and they felt a certain way about it. I didn't make a scene, or I was like, "Thank you." I did the shot with them. Yes, it's a weird thing. Also, I want to say out loud, since I like plays. I really like going to plays. I'm not ashamed of it. I really enjoy plays. I really enjoy them. And also musicals. Not ashamed of it. Love Wizard of Oz. Love Wizard of Oz. Just love Grease, the movie Grease with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. Love that. I think we have to start being a little bit more comfortable in our own skin and not care so much what other people might think.
Completely agree. What are you shiggling on?
Oh, warm Bacardi 151. Don't get me started. In my opinion, I'll more judge that. Okay, you shouldn't do that over an age of 27.
Oof, yeah.
And I'm being generous. That's a young person thing. You should not be of a certain age still drinking Bacardi 151 or Everclear. Cut it out when you get to a certain
or age. Jaeger.
Or Jaeger. I can't drink.
I had a bad experience when I was 21. I have not touched Jaeger.
I also have not had Southern Comfort in 22.
Had a bad experience when I was 20.
Yeah. Can't do Southern Comfort either. Cannot do Southern Comfort either. Mine is I want to say that it's nice when somebody apologizes. There was a thing with my neighbor at the shore, and he was gutting his bathroom. It would have been nice if he gave me a heads up. The problem is he hit a pipe, and now there's water now leaking into my place.
No.
So I was quite angry about it. And I let him know because I'm saying I don't care what anybody else does in their life. And I'm a person who minds my own business, but it affected me. That's what I care. Now, we were able to get the water turned off. A plumber came, and it appears to be no damage. It was just a little trickle. It wasn't that bad. But you understand the anxiety that's caused when there's water all of a sudden leaking in your house and the guy. Mm-hmm. But I have to give the guy credit. He had the most sincere apology. So sincere that I'm an asshole if I remain mad. I think that in our society, I think it has to do with men and machismo, as you were just talking about. Mm-hmm. It's really refreshing when you get a genuine apology. And then your job, if you get a genuine apology, is you're a dick if you don't accept it. Because the thing that we're all looking for is accountability. If someone holds themselves accountable, then you on your end has to then also accept that accountability. I told him everything was fine. It's as if it didn't happen. That's how sincere the apology is. So I thought that was really refreshing. And I think me, Cody, and everybody can learn from that. We're all going to make mistakes. But if you actually apologize to me, that's the path. And then if you're wronged, your job is to forgive when a person does give you that genuine apology.
Love it. Absolutely. It would be nice if we could be a little more forgiving as a people, but I'm not going to hold my breath there. Us getting any better, although I love the sentiment. Hey, what a show it's been. Let's reflect. All right. I'm reflecting on this. I finally watched the finale of The Traitors last night. And boy, oh boy, was I not disappointed. That is a phenomenal, phenomenal show. A really great little concept. But I do have a complaint. And I have a complaint because I did turn on the reunion show for about 15 minutes before I turned it off. Okay. And here's my problem. No more housewives on these shows. No more housewives on any show that is not Housewives, because I don't know how else to say this. I learned just yesterday that what is her name? She's from Real Housewives of Atlanta, and she was on Traitors this year. It'll come to me any second. Candace.
Yes.
Candace is the worst human being who has ever lived. I just found that out last night. I didn't think that while watching the show. Didn't like her. Thought she was But last night is when I went like, this woman sucks. And I'm actually pissed that not everyone in that room is looking at her like telling her to shut the fuck up. You suck. Because the way she was speaking to Maura for being quote unquote stupid for falling for the traitors at the end, that wasn't stupid. That's the fucking game. It's called The Traitors. And he didn't fool Maura. He fooled all 27 of all y'all. So he did a great job. Maura was just the last victim of the whole thing. Why are you sitting here lecturing her? That guy, the traitor that won, got your ass knocked out in week 4. So you're just a fucking idiot. And then she going on after they got knocked off the show, going on podcasts like, I can't believe Rob betrayed us. The show's called The Fucking Traitors. You don't get it. I can't stand you. I hate you, in fact. No more fucking housewives.
You know, that the people are so self-absorbed on that show. How were they not aware that Tara Lipinski and Johnny Weir were friends?
I mean, Jesus
how?
Christ.
How? Like, they're so self-absorbed that they didn't know that this was their 4th Olympics. This was their 4th Olympics. And they didn't know because of how self-absorbed everybody was. That just part is just...
It's unreal to me. Unreal. By the way, the show is an absolute masterpiece. Candace, you're the worst person who has ever lived.
All right. And here's another one for me in that vein, because there's this reality show called Summer House. And we found out that 2 people on the show, the season's currently airing, is from last summer, Kyle and Amanda are now getting divorced. And everybody's coming down on Kyle because he became a DJ. Turns out he became a DJ because the business Loverboy, it's a seltzer company, actually was doing poorly, and he stopped taking a salary. He did it to make money. And you know what? No one, I've seen a lot of people rip Kyle. And here's the thing. I think Kyle's a man-child. And people that watch the show know that Kyle's a man-child. No one suggested that Amanda get a job. I think I've had enough of this. If you're in a marriage and somebody hits a downward cycle financially, or emotionally, whatever it might be. Your job might be to pick them up. So while he's doing extra work, and yes, he's staying out all times of nights and making mistakes, and I'm not defending that part of it, but he became a DJ because he can get bookings because of reality TV. He'll get booked. He's not a great DJ, but it was a way to make money because he wasn't taking a salary from the business that they owed. And no one in the critiques have mentioned that she could have gotten a job. And something about that does not sit well with me.
I agree with this wholeheartedly. I don't know why it sounds oddly familiar to my experiences, but it just sounds weirdly familiar. Yeah, she could have gotten a job at any given moment. That is very interesting, especially in today's day and age and today's workforce and the fear in the world for AI coming for everybody's job. Yeah, it's a little hard out there for a lot of folks. So, yeah, I guess good on him for using his celebrity to make some money, but also bad on him for that he can't quite handle it all that well either. But that's neither here nor there. I do think it's unfair that all the blame is going one spot.
Yeah, like, again, she needs to leave him. He's doing bad things. I'm not telling they shouldn't got divorced. It's just interesting that when I read literally hundreds of comments about it, not a single one said get a job. And there might be somebody that watches this live or later on that goes, Amanda had a brand with swimsuit. No, she had a brand at one store. She didn't have a swimsuit line. She made a deal with one store, put it on her social media, and sold it like it was available everywhere. No, it was available at one total store. She didn't try to start her own business to make money or do any of those things to make extra money. He went to make extra money, and now he got left because of it.
Well, it happens. Boy, does it happen. But yeah, what are you going to do? Reality stars are all absolute disasters. Guys, this has been fun. Tyrone, another Tyrone Tuesday. Badass as always, man. Absolutely loved shooting the shit with you on baseball specifically today. Had a blast talking all that. WBC starts tomorrow. Let us know what you guys think. And of course, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast where you get your favorite podcast. Like, share, and subscribe right here on YouTube. We'll be back not tomorrow. We have an off day tomorrow. We'll be back here on Thursday. Keith Irizarry rejoins the show, co-hosting, sitting in for Michelle on Thursday. And outside of that, Tyrone, you got anything you want to leave the people with?
Listen, thanks so much to everybody for how kind you've been. I love kicking it with you there, Cody. And everybody can follow me on social media at Ty Johnson News and see what else I have going on. Really appreciate everybody.
Love it, dude. And of course, as always, enjoy yourself some sports, some WBC starting tomorrow, some spring training day, some NBA every day, and most importantly, RIP Estelle Getty.